Hello students, welcome back to the study portal. So today we are going to cover the subject MLT2 Unit 3 where documentation will come. Here we will discuss the good documentation practices in the clinical laboratories. We will discuss the importance of the documents, records which in the laboratory setup. All these things we are going to discuss in this particular video, right? So basically, first of all, what is a good documentation? So here is the definition for good documentation practices. What is this? So which is good documentation means accurate. Anything which is accurate, it is a source of documents, should be consistent and a real representation of the facts, right? So it should be accurate records, should be honest, error free and complete. So any amendments that have been made must be documented, dated and initialed or signed, right? So these are important for a good documentation practice in the clinical laboratory. Now, what is a good documentation practice? So basically, document is an information about any person, right? Any patient, or we can make document in other fields also. So a document will give you the information, proper information. It is a meaningful data where you will get many things in a single paper, right? And it is a supporting medium. So it will be in the form of the paper, and also it can be in the CD, computer files, microfilms, X-ray film, etc. So these are the forms of a document, right? So they can be stored in these forms. And in this video, you are medical lab technicians, right? So we will be discuss about the medical records, medical documents. Right, documents will be everywhere in any company, in any office, everywhere will be document, right, for everything. So that it will be having history, present, everything. So these are the importance of the document, right? Or here in the medical field, so it will be in the form of these things, X-ray, film, etc. Right? So it is about the documents, like what is the document, right? Now, documents provide information or evidence or may serve as an official record. So it will provide you each and every information about to the particular patient, and it will be having every evidence, right? So or it will serve a official record. So if you will see document of any patient, you will get to know which their history also, and which disease they are having, and which treatment is going on, which type of medications they are taking. Each and everything you will get to know through the documents, right? And record is a document. Now coming on, record is a document stating results achieved or provide evidence of activities performed. So in the records, basically even they are the documents where every result will be there, which result is achieved, and it will provide the every activities which is performed, right? So like if there any X-ray happened, or any blood test, anything happened, any activities, so you will get to know by the records, right? You will get to know which type of test you have done, thyroid test, blood test, sugar test, everything you will get to know while seeing the records, right? Now, guidelines is a document that provide recommended practices and instructions. Even a guidelines is also a document which will provide you recommended practices, and the instructions will be given in the guidelines which we need to follow for the better results, right? And policy is a plan or adopted course or principle of actions. Now coming on the policy, so it is a plan, or it is or it can be adopted course or a principle of action which is intended to influence and determine the decisions or actions of an organization. So every organization will be having any policy for the decisions or actions they will take, right? So there will be terms, conditions, policies will be there, right? So these will come in this. Now, purpose of laboratory documentation. So now we will study what is the purpose of this laboratory documentation. So I hope you will be knowing these. What is the purpose? It is to get to know the history, right? So the purpose is it will provide the basic guide for good document practices which regard to creation, approval, review, maintenance, correction, errors, verification or archiving, etc. For these things it is important, right? And we ensures documented evidence and traceability. So we will ensure our documented evidence, and we will trace, and we will provide records and audit trails for the investigation. So for the investigation purpose also laboratory records are very important. Now it will ensure the availability of the data for validation. So if someone wants to analyze anything, right, so it will provide them data for the validation for the review and for the statistical analysis, right? So these documentations will provide them all these facilities. And for the control of purpose means they will ensure all the staff knows what to do and when to do it, right? So documentation will provide a guide for the staff, right? If suppose just take an example, if a patient is coming to you, right, and the doctor has written many tests for them, so it is difficult to remember, because every day you are dealing with many patients, so you cannot you cannot remember all the tests every time, medications, everything about the patient. So if there will be a document, if there will be written everything, so you will get to know which test you have to do for the particular person, right? So these will ensure all these staffs, right, ki they will know about the test, and they will know what to do next, right, and when to do the test, everything they will be get to know. So it is to improve the performance. Also it will improve the performance, because if there will be documentation, so of course it will improve the performance. No need to do everything from the beginning, because you can see the records what they are saying, and then you can proceed for further, right? And regulatory requirements. So what are the regulatory requirements? You can regulate, right? So documentation is important for the regulatory requirements also. Now, types of documentation and records in the laboratory. So there are some types of documentation and the records in the laboratory. So these are some types. First is the standard operating procedure, and the next is the laboratory analytical plans, right, where will be the plans of the laboratory, and laboratory reference standards, laboratory notebooks records will be there, which kind of notebooks are present, temperature charts will be there, corrective action, preventive action, CAPA, these will be present in the documentations, lab staff training records, right, who have trained in the particular laboratory, so even lab staff's records will be there, Levy Jennings charts will be there, right? So all these things will be present in the these are some types of the documentation, right, in the laboratory. So what constitutes good documentation? Legible, concise, traceable, contemporaneous, enduring, and accessibility. So all these things will be in the good documentation, right? So legible, so everyone should be able to read what is written, so it should be visible to everyone, and regardless of who, where, or what has been written. So the particular person should understand and read, and they can write, right? So about whom it is written. So right, so where or what has been written. So it should everyone can read it, so it should be legible and it should be concise. It means the document must provide clear information that is understood by all the customers, right? So it should be have the clear information which will be understood by the all the customers, and it should be traceable, right? Means who recorded it, where and why, who has recorded, why they have recorded it, and where they have recorded it. All these information should be given, all these should information they should know, so it should be traceable. And contemporaneous means the information should be documented at the correct time frame along with flow of the events, right? So the information should be documented at the correct time and frame should correct frame and with flow of the events, right? Enduring means long lasting or durable. It should be long lasting and durable, so someone can keep it for a long time, right? Accessible, easily available for review, so it should be easily available for review. So a good documentation will constitute all these terms, right? Documentation process in the laboratory. So what are the documentation process in the laboratory? So first documentation creation, then we have to approve it. Like approval should be there, doctor's approval should be there, and document use and data collection. So the use of the document and the data collection will be there for a document. And document maintenance and verification. So its maintenance and verification is also very important. Record review, right? So record modification and correction if there will be any modification or correction, and record archiving and record destruction. So these will be these are the process in the laboratory. So first they will create and approve, then they will use it for the data collection, then they will maintain it, verify, they will review the record, they will modify and correct, they will archive, they will save it, right? And then they will destruct if there is no use or everything is, the file is closed, then there is no use, so destruction will be there, right? So these are this is the documentation process in the laboratory. Now common documentation error. So what are the common documentation errors we can face? So there will be missing of the signature and the dates at the time of the activity performed. So the time when the activity is performed, it can be missed, date and the signature can be missed, right? And write over, there can be something written like wrong or overwritten, or these things can be error in particular documentation. And there will non-uniform date and signature entry. If there is no uniform date will be present on the record or signature entries are not there, so it will be a documentation error, right? And writing a note that activity was performed on one day and signed for one other day, right? So if there is any activity which is performed today and sign is and they are having sign with another day, so even this will be a documentation error. If there is any blank spaces, illegal writing can be an error, and too many corrections. If in the document there are too many corrections, so even this is a error, right? So we should always write, or we should always take care of all these mistakes and take the signature, and on the time we should be particular to the date, right? So these are important things we cannot neglect. So these things will be coming in the documentation errors. Now principle of good documentation practice. So what are the principles of a good documentation practice? So here, a document bearing original signature should never be destroyed. So a document, if it is having a original signature, then it should not be destroyed, it should not be replaced, right? Never falsify information. There should not be any false information, right? Wrong information. Never you avoid white out and cover over tapes. So we should not use white out or cover over tapes on the document, and we cannot we never obliterate information or record, right? And we never overwrite a record. We should never overwrite it, and never use pencil. All this information should be completed with the blue or black permanent ink pen, right? So there should not be given any space, any lines or fields are to be left blanks. So there should not be anything blank in a documentation. If a space is filled, then only we can proceed for the other space, right? And are to be left blanks. So there should not be anything blank in a documentation. If a space is filled, then only we can proceed for the other space, right? And never use symbols, example ditto, markers or marks, arrows to indicate repetitive and consecutive. So we should not use symbols. We will write the numbers only, right? So symbols are not be accepted in the documents. Now, what are the benefits of a good documentation practice? So, it will build a confidence in the laboratory quality system. So, it is for the confidentiality also, right? And reduce the efforts of compliance with regulatory bodies, and it will allow for achievements of required results, right? So the results which we are required, it will allow the achievements for that, and correct, complete, current and consistent information effectively meets customers and stakeholders requirements, right? So there will be a correct and complete information. We can through the records, through the documents, we can get to know easily, and enables the laboratory activities to be arranged into functional patterns for specific action. So there will be like the activities which is not required will not be done in the laboratories, so because there will be some rules, right? Create structure so that staff can systematically coordinate to conduct business. So it will create a structure for the staff so that they will coordinate or they can conduct the business, right? So training of laboratory staff, like if so good so if there is any training for a laboratory staff, so there will be a record who have trained in this lab, right? So solve complicated problems. Even records can solve the complicated problems and reduce or eliminate assumption and second guessing. It will reduce or eliminate the assumption and also the second guessing, right? If someone is having any problem, we will not guess, we will just take out the records and we will see the problems through our document, and we will get to know. So there will not be any chances of the assumption and guessing, right? So is it clear to you? Fine. Now, benefits of good documentation practices. Like what are the benefits? So it will eliminate need to re-ask the same question, right? If someone will be like they are asking same question again and again, so it will reduce this this thing to asking the question again and again, and it will be specify clear instructions for the staff. So it will give a clear instructions for the staff, like how they will work or everything, right? So even they will not be confused. So it is about the benefits of good documentation practice. Now how we will store these records? So we will archive records boxes which will be designed for the records to be stored and store vertically, right? So we should always store it nicely so that there will be there will not be any damage or anything, so that for the further reference we can take out our records and we can check it. Fine. And the importance of keeping record in the science is so that they are safe and easily retrieved, right? And we need to we need a good records to prepare accurate financial statements also. So all these things we should keep the good records. And if we want to it is very beneficial for the treatment of the patient, because while seeing a record only we will get to know about each and every information about the patient, and we will just proceed for further treatment. Fine. So these are the benefits for record keeping, and storage is very important, like how you will store it, right? So you have to store it nicely, so that there will not be any issue, you will find it nicely, right? So this is about the documentation. So this is about the good documentation practice in this video. So we just learn about the why we do documentation, and what are the constituent of good documentation, and we studied the benefits, and we studied the type of the records, right? So all these topics we covered in our video. So students, I hope this video is helpful for you. So thank you so much. We have covered our unit.